Welcome back, Hunters. This is part 3, the final chapter of our solo leveling what-if story, where Sung Jinwoo becomes the Radiant Shadow Monarch. Antares has fallen. The war has ended. But the consequences of merging light and shadow are only beginning to unfold. Let's finish the story. The war was over. The sky, once torn apart by burning crimson portals and blinding golden rifts, finally settled into a quiet gray dawn. The ocean calmed, the winds softened, and the unbearable pressure of monarch-level power faded from the world's atmosphere. All around, the ruined city lay broken, but still standing, alive. The silence that followed victory felt unreal. As if the world itself was afraid to breathe again. As if life was waiting to see whether this peace was real. Or just the eye of a greater storm. In the center of the battlefield stood a figure who barely resembled the boy who had once been humanity's weakest hunter. Sung Jinwoo. But he was no longer the Lightborn. No longer the ruler's vessel. No longer a fragile human body struggling to contain divine power. He now stood as the Radiant Shadow Monarch. The fusion of two impossible forces. The heir to both light and darkness. The final soul that united celestial judgment and abyssal power. His aura flowed gently, no longer wild or destructive. Golden and violet energy wrapped around him like twin flames moving in perfect synchronization. And for the first time since the beginning of his awakening, Jinwoo felt calm, whole, complete. He looked at his hands, flexing them slowly. There was no pain, no burning, no threat of losing himself. He felt heavier, stronger, clearer. As if every cell in his body had been reforged in the harmony of two opposing monarch powers. He could sense everything around him with perfect clarity. The faint mana of injured hunters scattered around the city. The presence of every ruler floating silently above the clouds. The dying remnants of Antares' destructive energy dissolving into nothing. He even sensed the warm, comforting aura deep beneath the rubble. The aura of his mother. Weak, but safe. He closed his eyes in relief. Footsteps approached cautiously. A ruler descended. The same commander who once guided Jinwoo, who once led the armies of light in endless wars. He hovered before Jinwoo, wings dimmed, armor cracked. There was no pride in his gaze. Only uncertainty. And fear. Sung Jinwoo, the ruler said slowly, "What have you become?" Jinwoo didn't answer immediately. He looked across the battlefield where shadows lingered beside radiant embers. Where his two powers melted into each other like the closing of a cosmic wound. Finally, he said softly, "I became what I needed to become." The ruler bowed his head. "You have surpassed Ashborn, and surpassed the rulers. You stand as something beyond our understanding." Jinwoo shook his head gently. "No, I'm not above anyone. I'm just someone who didn't want to lose the people I love." The ruler stared at him, almost confused. "You don't understand your own nature yet. Your form is stable, but your power is not defined. Light and shadow have never coexisted within one being. You are unprecedented." Jinwoo stepped past him, walking toward the ruined city. Streets cracked, buildings shattered, mana residue floating like glittering dust in the air. He whispered, "Whatever I am, I'll decide what it means." He arrived at the ruins of a collapsed hospital. The building had taken heavy damage during Antares' descent. The walls were broken. Debris covered the ground. Dust still floated through the air. But through the cracks, Jinwoo sensed a familiar warmth. A presence he had longed for since the beginning of his journey. His mother. Trapped, but alive. His heart tightened. He extended his hand. Shadow moved first, slithering through rubble, slipping between broken concrete slabs like a living mist. Then radiance followed, a soft golden glow illuminating the dark crevices. The two energies intertwined, gently lifting the debris without causing further damage. Within minutes, the path cleared. There she was, weak, unconscious, breathing. Jinwoo fell to his knees beside her, tears welling in his eyes. He touched her cheek. Warm, alive. "I'm here, Mom," he whispered. "I'm finally here." He didn't need the covenant anymore. He didn't need a system telling him what to do. He placed his hand on her forehead. And let the radiant shadow heal her gently. Golden warmth washed over her body. Shadows stabilized her energy flow. Moments later, she opened her eyes. Confused, weak, but awake. Jae Jinwoo, she whispered. He smiled, tears falling. Yeah, it's me. She reached up and cupped his face. You look different. Jinwoo laughed softly. You have no idea. While Jinwoo held his mother's hand, the rulers gathered in the sky. Their wings folded, their weapons lowered. They spoke among themselves in quiet, uncertain tones. What do we do now? He is stronger than any monarch, and perhaps stronger than all of us combined. A being of balance could tip the universe in either direction. Should we guide him, or fear him? They fell silent as Jinwoo rose into the air. His aura radiated gently, not aggressively. Yet the sheer scale of his presence forced even the rulers to brace themselves. He floated before them, calm and controlled. The war is over, Jinwoo said. There is no reason for you to stay. The ruler commander hesitated. You want us to leave? Jinwoo nodded. This world has suffered enough because of your war. Because of monarchs. Because of power that never belonged here. Earth needs time to heal. The rulers exchanged glances. But what of you? Jinwoo looked down at his hands. Radiance formed. Shadows curled. A perfect balance. I will protect this world, he said simply. You don't need to worry about future monarch threats. The ruler commander frowned. There are other realms beyond your knowledge. Threats beyond monarchs. Creatures beyond light and shadow. Jinwoo's eyes glowed softly, calmly. Then let them come. His voice was steady, unshaken, absolute. A monarch's voice. A king's voice. The rulers bowed their heads. One after another, they vanished into golden pillars, returning to their celestial plane. The sky brightened as the last of them disappeared. Only Jinwoo remained, hovering above a broken world that now belonged to him to protect. He closed his eyes, letting the wind brush against his face. The city was wounded. Humanity was terrified. But it was alive, and for the first time since the day he awakened, Jinwoo could sense a future that wasn't filled with fear. He spoke softly to himself. Ashborn, thank you. I'll protect them. All of them. In your place. But then a new thought emerged. Quiet, uncertain, heavy. What am I supposed to do now? Being a monarch was not a title. It was a responsibility. A burden. A purpose. But he was no longer a simple monarch. He was something more. Something different. His very existence blurred cosmic laws. What was he meant to do with that? What future did a Radiant Shadow Monarch have? Where did he belong? Not in the ruler's realm. Not with the monarchs. Not with humans. Not completely, at least. He floated higher, thinking. The world stretched beneath him. Cities trembling from battle, oceans still steaming, mountains scarred with claw marks and energy blasts. Rebuilding would take months, years, generations. But he could help. Or he could disappear. Hide from the world. Let humans heal without fear of a godlike being watching over them. He didn't know. For the first time since awakening, Jinwoo felt lost. The wind shifted. A familiar aura appeared behind him. Hae-In. Her clothes torn, armor cracked, face bruised. But alive. She hovered shakily, supported by a faint remnant of mana. Her voice trembled. Is it really over? Jinwoo turned. His aura dimmed instinctively, becoming gentler in her presence. Yeah, he said. It's over. She stared at him for a long moment, eyes wide, shimmering. You're not the same Jinwoo anymore, are you? Jinwoo hesitated. I'm still me, he said softly. But I'm also more than me. She stepped closer, reaching out. Jinwoo let her place her hand against his chest. The radiant shadow energy pulsed faintly beneath her palm. Warm, alive, painful, beautiful. She whispered. I don't know what you've become. But I know your heart didn't change. Jinwoo didn't respond. He didn't need to. But before they could speak further, a strange sensation rippled across the sky. Jinwoo stiffened. His eyes narrowed. He turned toward the horizon. Something shifted. Something far away. Beyond Earth. Beyond monarch realms. A presence. A whisper. A disturbance. He couldn't tell. But something had awakened. Something ancient. Something watching. Jinwoo exhaled slowly. So it begins. Even after all this. Hae-In stepped forward, worried. What is it? Jinwoo shook his head. I'm not sure. He clenched his fist, feeling the radiant shadow pulse in response. But if anything threatens this world again, I'll be ready. He looked down at the city. Its lights flickering weakly. Its people beginning to crawl from hiding. Its hunters gathering survivors. Its skyline broken but hopeful. He whispered, let's rebuild. The wind carried his voice across the ruined landscape. And for the first time since the beginning of the war, the world felt safe. Not because the rulers were watching. Not because monarchs were gone. But because one being stood between them and destruction. A being born from sacrifice, rebirth, and impossible power. The Radiant Shadow Monarch, Sung Jinwoo. And his story was not over yet. Days passed. The world slowly returned to motion, as if awakening from a collective nightmare. Cities began clearing debris. Hunters formed search teams. Governments worked with guilds to stabilize affected regions. But everywhere, one name echoed through the news. Sung Jinwoo. Some called him a hero. Some called him a god. Some whispered that he was something beyond human. People replayed the battle footage endlessly. The sky splitting open, dragons descending, radiant fire consuming darkness. And in the center of it all, a figure shining like both sun and void. But Jinwoo himself avoided the attention. He spent the first days tending to the wounded, helping families reunite, and assisting hunters with reconstruction. He walked the streets quietly, his aura suppressed so deeply that he barely felt like more than a normal human. Children approached him shyly, offering drawings or shy thank yous. Parents bowed deeply, weeping in gratitude. Hunters saluted him like a commander. And yet, Jinwoo felt strangely distant from all of it. Not disconnected. Not cold. Just aware. Aware of how different he was now. Aware that the gap between him and the rest of humanity had become too vast to measure. Every time he used his powers, even subtly, people stared. Every time he appeared somewhere, rumors spread. Every time his aura slipped even a little, civilians felt pressure heavy enough to stop their breath. It reminded Jinwoo of how people used to fear high-ranking monsters. Now that fear belonged to him. He didn't resent them. He understood. He was no longer entirely human. And humans feared what they couldn't understand. He spent his nights walking the rooftops, silently overlooking the recovering city. The hum of mana waves in the air felt different now. Calmer, quieter, stripped of monarch corruption. Earth felt lighter. The rulers' influence had diminished completely. The monarchs were gone, but the uneasy feeling Jinwoo sensed on the horizon still lingered. Something stirred at the edges of existence. A presence faint and distant, but undeniably watching. He didn't know if it was a remnant of monarch influence, a new enemy, or simply a cosmic echo of his transformation. But he stayed alert, just in case. One evening, while standing above city lights flickering like dying stars, Jinwoo sensed someone approaching. A familiar aura, gentle, warm, yet sharp like a blade. Hae-In landed beside him, her steps light, her presence steady. She didn't speak immediately. She simply stood beside him, gazing at the city below. After a long silence, she said softly, "You're distancing yourself again." Jinwoo exhaled, not turning to face her. "I'm not distancing myself. I'm just giving the world space to breathe." She stepped closer. "Jinwoo, you don't have to carry everything alone." He smiled faintly. "But I do. That's the nature of what I am now." Hae-In didn't accept that answer. She placed a hand on his arm. His aura dimmed immediately, as if responding to her touch. "You saved everyone. You protected the world. But that doesn't mean you should isolate yourself from it." Jinwoo finally turned to her. His eyes glowed faintly. One golden, one violet. Hae-In, the radiant shadow isn't something humans can stand near for long. Even now, I have to suppress most of it, or the pressure alone could crush. She interrupted him firmly. "Then I'll get stronger." Jinwoo froze. She held his gaze without fear, without hesitation. "If the gap is wide, I'll cross it. If your aura is heavy, I'll endure it. If your existence changes everything, then I'll change too." Her voice trembled slightly. Not from fear, from conviction, from sincerity. From something deeper. You don't have to face the future alone, Jinwoo. He looked at her for a long, quiet moment. Then he looked down at his hands. Hands that once shook with weakness. Hands that now held the power of 2 monarchs. Hands too dangerous to touch a normal human. He lowered them slowly. I'm afraid, he admitted. It felt strange to say it. He had faced death, monsters, monarchs, gods. But he feared hurting the people he loved more than any enemy. I don't want to lose control. Not around you. Not around anyone. Hae-In shook her head gently. You won't. You've already proven you can control it. Jinwoo looked away. Only because Ashbourne is with me. She stepped closer, placing a hand over his chest where Ashbourne's essence resided. Then you're not alone at all. They stood there, side by side, as the wind brushed past them. The silence between them wasn't awkward or heavy. It was peaceful, comforting, human, a reminder that even with cosmic power, Jinwoo's heart hadn't changed. A sudden tremor of mana rippled across the sky. Jinwoo's head snapped upward instantly. Hae-In felt it too. What was that? Jinwoo narrowed his eyes. I don't know. A swirling pulse of energy formed in the upper atmosphere. Not a gate, not a portal, not a monarch signature. It felt ancient, cold, heavy. Jinwoo raised a hand, sensing deeper. His brows tightened. It's not from our world. Hae-In stepped back. Another realm. Jinwoo shook his head. Not a realm. He paused. It feels like something observing us. Observing him. And then, the presence vanished. Gone as quickly as it came. Jinwoo floated upward, eyes sharp. He scanned the entire world with his merged radiance and shadow senses. Nothing. No gates. No distortions. No traces of cosmic interference. But the tension in his chest remained. Something was out there. Something watching. Waiting. Judging. When he landed back beside Hae-In, she looked worried. Is it dangerous? Jinwoo shook his head slowly. I don't know yet. But whatever it is, it feels older than monarchs. Older than the rulers. Older than the war. She stared at him in shock. What could be older than them? Jinwoo didn't answer. Because he didn't know. But the universe had grown quiet. Too quiet. Like the breath before a storm. Over the next weeks, Jinwoo dedicated himself to stabilizing the world. He visited every major city. He removed leftover mana storms and gate distortions. He healed hunters who suffered spiritual damage during the war. He purified corrupted regions scarred by destructive energy. Everywhere he went, people watched in awe. Some bowed, some prayed, some whispered his name like a myth. Jinwoo never corrected them, but he never encouraged it either. He didn't want worship. He didn't want fear. He simply wanted peace. For everyone, including himself. But peace was hard to maintain for someone like him. Every night, the presence at the edge of existence reappeared briefly. A pulse, a whisper, a ripple, as if something beyond the known universe was checking on him, measuring him, judging him. He began to have dreams. Visions of a vast void stretching endlessly, filled with ancient symbols, echoing voices, and colossal silhouettes moving slowly in the dark. He always woke up before seeing more. But the dreams left him cold, empty, uneasy. One night, he contacted the rulers directly. A telepathic link only monarch-level beings could maintain. They responded immediately, gathering around their celestial council. Jinwoo stood before them, floating in the ethereal plane where their light gathered like starlight. I need answers, Jinwoo said. The ruler commander bowed slightly. We sensed the disturbance as well. But it does not belong to any monarch, any ruler, any ancient enemy. Jinwoo's eyes narrowed. So you don't know what it is either. The ruler hesitated. We have theories. Jinwoo folded his arms. Speak. The ruler took a breath. There are forces beyond our eternal war. Beyond light. Beyond shadow. Beyond the creator you call the absolute being. Jinwoo stiffened. Older than the absolute being. Yes. Then what are they? The ruler's voice grew quieter. They are observers. Watchers of reality. Entities who existed before even the first war. Entities who decided the balance of worlds before monarchs or rulers were ever born. Jinwoo's mind raced. Are they hostile? We do not know. We have never seen one descend. They only watch. Jinwoo clenched his fists. Why? Why now? Why watch me? The ruler stared deeply at him. Because you broke the balance. You merged two forces that were never meant to coexist. You killed an immortal king. You shattered the old order. He paused. And beings like them are drawn to anomalies. Jinwoo stood silently, the weight of cosmic eyes pressing against his back. He had protected Earth. He had saved countless lives. But in doing so, he may have attracted something far greater than any monarch. Something ancient, curious, and possibly dangerous. Something watching him even now. Something waiting to see what he would do next. Jinwoo's voice came out calm, but cold. If they want to watch, let them. But if they ever try to harm this world. Shadows flared around him. Radiance blazed. His dual aura shook even the celestial plane. I will end them. The rulers shuddered. For a moment, even they felt fear. When Jinwoo returned to Earth, he stood at the edge of a tall tower overlooking the recovering city. The moon hung low. The lights flickered gently. Life was returning. Slowly. Cautiously. He took a deep breath. For now, there was peace. But the universe had shifted. The war was over. But the age of the Radiant Shadow had only just begun. In the weeks that followed, the world began shifting into a new rhythm. Hunters no longer woke up in fear of monarch invasions. Cities no longer braced for dragon roars in the sky. Gate alarms stopped echoing every few hours. For the first time since the emergence of dungeons, Earth felt quiet. Strange. Almost peaceful. But beneath that calm, Jinwoo knew change was stirring. Not destruction. Not war. Just a new beginning. One the world was struggling to understand. Reconstruction efforts started immediately. Entire guilds dedicated themselves to rebuilding broken zones. Hunters volunteered to clear out leftover mana distortions. Governments, for once, cooperated. Humanity united after witnessing the impossible war between monarchs and rulers. And everywhere Jinwoo went, people greeted him with awe. Some bowed, some cried, some offered gifts, some simply whispered his name as if unsure whether to speak aloud in his presence. But Jinwoo didn't feel like a king. He didn't feel like a god. He felt like someone who had survived too much, changed too much, grown too far beyond the world he used to know. One morning, he stood outside the remains of what used to be the association headquarters. The building had collapsed during the war. Workers were sorting through rubble. Hunters carried out damaged equipment. Jinwoo closed his eyes and placed his hand on the cracked foundation. Radiant shadow energy pulsed through the ground. Cracks sealed. Metal reformed. Walls straightened. In seconds, the building stood tall again. Restored by a monarch's gentle touch. Workers stepped back, mouths open in shock. Jinwoo simply nodded once and left before they could crowd around him. He didn't restore the building to show power. He did it because Earth deserved a fresh start. A chance to rebuild without constant fear. Days blended together. Jinwoo repaired what could be fixed. Healed those who were injured. Comforted those who lost someone. But even as he mended the world, he found something unsettling. He couldn't mend himself. Not entirely. The more he used his combined power, the more distant he felt from the life he once knew. Human emotions still came to him. Warmth, sadness, hope, longing. But muted, quieter than before. Like echoes in a vast chamber. He still cared deeply. But he no longer felt pain the same way. Fatigue no longer reached him. Time flowed differently around him. He was alive. But he wasn't aging. He was connected to Earth. But no longer bound by it. It frightened him more than any monarch ever had. Because this time, the enemy wasn't a dragon or a god. It was the slow erosion of his humanity. One late evening, Jinwoo revisited the park where he used to rest after low-rank raids. The bench where he once sat as a weak hunter remained, though tilted and cracked. He sat down, staring at the empty playground. Memories flooded him. The fear he used to feel before entering a dungeon. The exhaustion of balancing school, raids, and hospital bills. The humiliation of being the weakest. The weight of responsibility he carried alone. So much had changed. And yet, this bench felt familiar. Comforting. Human. He leaned back and closed his eyes. For a moment, he let himself feel small again. Mortal. Normal. You always sit alone, a voice said gently. Jinwoo opened his eyes to see Hae-In approaching. Her steps were soft, her expression kind. He smiled faintly. I'm not alone now. She sat beside him without asking. Everyone has been looking for you, she said. I know, he replied. But I needed space. She studied him quietly. You're fading again. Jinwoo looked down at his hands. The skin glowed faintly with shifting patterns of gold and violet. Not fading, he said softly. Changing. Hae-In leaned closer. That scares you, doesn't it? Jinwoo didn't answer at first. Then, quietly, yes. For a moment, neither spoke. Night wind rustled the leaves. The moon hung low, casting silver light over the park. Hae-In finally broke the silence. Jinwoo, you've saved the world. You've protected everyone. But you're still you. He shook his head. You don't know what I'm becoming. She took his hand. And this time, he didn't pull away. Then let me find out with you. His fingers tightened around hers. A very human gesture. A reminder that even as light and shadow swirled inside him, he still had a heart. But the quiet moment was interrupted. A pulse of cosmic pressure rippled across the sky. Jinwoo tensed instantly. You feel that? Hae-In's eyes widened. Yes. What is that? Jinwoo stood up slowly, his aura rising like a gentle storm. Radiant shadow energy flickered around him. It's the presence from before, he said. It's back. He looked toward the horizon where the stars shimmered unnaturally. Warping, bending, trembling. Something was trying to manifest. A circular distortion formed high above the clouds. Not a gate, not a tear, a ripple in existence itself. Jinwoo rose into the air, slowly, cautiously. Hae-In called out, be careful. He nodded once and ascended higher. The ripple widened like an eye opening. No light came through. No darkness. Just an endless void. A shape shifted inside the ripple. Vast, formless, older than creation. An unseen consciousness pressed against reality. Cold, ancient, observing. Jinwoo positioned himself directly between the entity and Earth. His aura expanded, forming a radiant shadow barrier around the entire city. The air trembled. Buildings quaked. The moon dimmed. The presence stared at him without eyes. Without form. Without emotion. It was as though a concept itself had turned its attention to him. Jinwoo spoke calmly. I don't know who you are. Or what you are. But this world is under my protection. No response. Just pressure. Heavy, crushing pressure that pushed even Jinwoo backward. He dug his heels into the air, stabilizing himself. His aura flared brighter. If you're testing me, I'll pass. Still no answer. Only the deepening void. Jinwoo summoned his blade. Radiance and shadow fused into a perfect edge. If you're threatening this world, I'll stop you. A low vibration pulsed through the sky. Something like laughter. Something like curiosity. Something like acknowledgement. The ripple slowly closed, shrinking into a single point of light. And vanished. Just like that. Jinwoo lowered his weapon. His aura slowly receded. But his heart remained pounding. He floated back down to the park where Hae-In waited, pale and tense. What was that? She whispered. Jinwoo landed softly. I don't know, he admitted. But it wasn't Monarch level. She swallowed. Stronger. Jinwoo nodded. Older. For the first time since becoming the Radiant Shadow. He felt something he thought he had left behind. Uncertainty. The universe wasn't done with him. His journey wasn't over. Not by a long shot. But the presence was gone. For now. He looked at Hae-In and smiled softly. Let's go home. There's still time before anything else comes. The next morning, Jinwoo returned to his family's apartment. His sister hugged him desperately. His mother cried in relief. They didn't care about monarchs, rulers, or cosmic threats. They didn't see a godlike being standing before them. They only saw Jinwoo. Their Jinwoo. And in that moment, he realized something important. No matter what he became. No matter how powerful or distant he felt. No matter how many cosmic beings might be watching him. He still had a place in this world. A reason to stay. A reason to fight. A reason to hold on to the last piece of humanity within him. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And slowly, Earth blossomed into a new era. An era without monarch wars. Without destruction. Without ancient battles staining the skies. Hunters grew stronger. Nations grew more cautious. And humanity adapted to a world after gods. Jinwoo watched over everything quietly. Not as a ruler. Not as a king. Not as a god. But as a guardian. Unseen when unnecessary. Unstoppable when required. The Radiant Shadow Monarch. Protector of Earth. Balance of cosmic forces. And the lone being standing at the intersection of light and darkness. His journey had reshaped fate itself. His choices had rewritten the universe. And though he knew challenges still waited in the distant stars, he was no longer afraid. One night, standing atop a skyscraper overlooking the glowing city, Jinwoo whispered into the wind, to whoever's watching, "Come when you're ready." His aura flickered gently. A king's aura. A guardian's aura. A human's heart. He looked out at the world. His world. And smiled. Until then, I'll protect them. The war was over. The monarchs were gone. The rulers had retreated. And a new age had begun. An age shaped not by cosmic beings, but by one man who rose from weakness, embraced impossible power, and forged a destiny no one could have predicted. The age of Sung Jinwoo. The Radiant Shadow. And finally, the story ends. Thank you for watching the complete trilogy of our solo leveling What If series. If you enjoyed this alternate universe journey, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with other fans. Your support helps us create more long-form anime lore, more what ifs, and more cinematic universes. Comment below which what if you want next. And I'll see you in the next story.